So it is a tremendous chus for me to be here again, and please don't think that I take it for granted. Coming here every single year is a true privilege. It's a great joy, and it's a chus to learn Torah together. Tonight, as our tradition in this chashuv, esteemed beis din that we have here, to present different cases, some of them wild cases in halacha, and to try and ask the beis din to give us the correct halachic approach to resolve the dilemmas that we'll present. The first case stems from last week's Pasha, and in fact 2 weeks ago as well, Pasha's Ekev and Pasha's Vayisrael, where the Torah discusses tefillin. But before we get to the Shaila, we tell an amazing story, and it's a mitzvah to tell this story at home. A grandfather came to visit his daughter and his grandchildren, and he spent the entire day there. And he was so annoyed because he saw that no matter what his daughter requested from his grandchildren, Moshe, can you take out the garbage? Why me? You always call me. Why me? Call Rachel. And then later, Rachel, can you help me with it? Why me? Why do you call me? You always call me. And no matter what she asked her kids to do, the response was always the same. Why me? It's always me. It's always me. Call him, call her. And this went on the entire day. And the grandfather was so annoyed to see this. They were sitting and having dinner. And he told his family, I want to share with you something. You know that I am a Holocaust survivor, but you don't know how I survived. And I want to share with you how I survived. When the Nazis, Yemach Shemam, came to town, what they did is separate the women and the kids who were weak and can't work, and the men who are able to work, and they will live. And the women and kids will perish. We didn't know that at the time. So as soon as they came to town, they separated us. Myself, with my mother, and all my siblings, were put on a certain train, and my father was separated to a different train. We didn't know. We thought we were going to a camp. After a few minutes, my mother suddenly says, Reuven, Daddy's tefillin is with me. Please, run as quick as you can to the other train and give Daddy his tefillin. So I quickly took the tefillin and I ran out, and this was suicidal. There were Nazi officers outside. And until today, I don't understand how come they didn't shoot me. It's a miracle. But I was able to cross, and I got to the other train. And I went on the train and I looked for my father and I found him. And I said, Dad, here's your tefillin. And he was so happy. And he gave me a kiss. And he said, now run quickly back. And I turned around and I wanted to get out of the train. And the door was closed. I got stuck with my father. And that is what saved my life. Because my mother and all my brothers and sisters, they perished. My father is on the train of those people who can work. I was with him. So I survived. So kids, do you know why I survived? Because when I was told by my mother what to do, when I was requested, I didn't say, why me? Why me? Ask one of the brothers or ask one of the sisters. Because I didn't say, why me? That is why I'm here today. And that is an unbelievable message that we have to give over to our kids. I heard this Maisa, and this is a true Maisa. But to hear a Maisa like this, and not to create a halachic shaila out of it, it's about tashchis to the Maisa. So here comes the question. Let's say the kid is not 5 years old. He's 10, he's 12, he's 14. Is he allowed to listen to his mother when she says, go quickly and cross, get out of this train and go to the other train? There are Nazi officers out there that can shoot him. Is he allowed to go to fulfill the mitzvah of kibud aim by doing something very, very wrong? What do we call it? Sakana. Is there a greater sakana? You should watch yourself exceedingly, the Torah says. In Shulchan Aruch Yoredei Reish Mem, we learn that one is now allowed to transgress even a derabonon in order to do a mitzvah deoraisa of kibud aim. So was the kid allowed to go out when his mother told him, run quickly and give the tefillin to your father? Since next month, Erev Rosh Hashanah, all of us here are going to be standing and calling each other Shimuna Raboisai Dayanim Mumchim, expert Dayanim Raboisai. What do you say? Normally in Beis Din we don't ask women's participation, but in this Beis Din you're allowed to participate as well. What do you say, Raboisai? Not everybody together. is the kid allowed to leave the train, risk his life, to do the mitzvah of kibbudem? What do you say? Yes.
Because one is a no. He knows he's going to be doing the mitzvah of kibbudem.
Yeah.
And one is a little fuzzy.
Little fuzzy? It's a miracle he doesn't understand until today. It's a sakana.
He doesn't know that he's going to be killed. He knows it could be dangerous. It might be like...
So if your mother asks you to do something, you're allowed to stand in the middle of the highway for a few minutes and hope that you're not going to be run over by the next bus or truck. Because ultimately the truck is not here right now. You're allowed to do this.
No, because that's something silly. But if she asks me to take the father's tefillin over to the...
And that's not silly to do when out there are Nazi officers ready, willing, and able, and excited to shoot a Jewish kid. In Psochim Daf Ches we learn, Shluchei mitzvah, einam nizoikim. When a person embarks on a journey for a mitzvah, he will not be harmed. But Chazal also say that we don't apply this b'makom hezeka. If it's a place where it's dangerous, you can't apply it. Normally we say, Shomer mitzvah lo yeida davara. The pasuk says, if you're doing something of mitzvah, you will not be harmed. But you cannot be standing in the middle of the highway and say, nothing's going to happen to me. Guess what? Something will happen. You're going out there when the Nazi officer has guns. How are you able to do this? And if you want to say that you are able to do it, fine. Give me a source. Chumash, Shulchan Aruch, Gemara, Shas, Poiskim. Give me something. It's a Beis Din. In order to paskin Beis Din, we need a source. Rabbi say, what do you say? You're saying a vaday and a suffix, but it is not a suffix. It's called pikuach nefesh, sakana. And for sakana, who allowed you to risk your life? The pasuk instructs you that you must watch your life exceedingly. So who allowed you to go and to put yourself in harm's way? What about Rivka and Yaakov? Was it sakanas nefashos? Or a plan that may not work? Is Yitzchak going to kill him? Esav. Will Esav kill him? Good question. Did Yaakov know that Esav potentially will kill him? Could be. Could be. There is a slight sakana there. Excellent source. Maybe you have a even more identical source to our case, just a little later. 4 or 5 pashos after the pasha that you're sending us to. Yaakov sending Yosef. Chazal say that the brothers paskind that he is chayav misa. He had a din of a roidef, a pursuer. So who in the world gave Yosef the permission to go when Yaakov sends him, go check out how your brothers are doing? I'm not allowed to go. It's a konos nefashos. You know who asked this question? The Pri Megadim. Pri Megadim was one of the greatest poiskim. You know, he was such an honor. He used to sign Melamed Tinoikis. Godol Ador, he signed Melamed Tinoikis. That's how he saw himself. I am a teacher, a rebbe of little kids. The Pri Megadim in his sefer called Tevas Goime and the Torah asks, who gave Yosef permission to go when it's a sakana? And he says it's tremendous chiddush. He says, go look in Yoredei Simin Kuf Nun Zayin, where we learn that an Adam Gadol is allowed to risk his life not only for the 3 major sins, but when he sees a mitzvah, which is denigrated. People don't give it enough importance. And he said at the time of Yosef, Kibud Avaim was mezulzal be'einei habrios. People didn't give it too much respect, and therefore Yosef had to go, and he was allowed to go. But back to our case. This is not an Adam Gadol. It's a minor. It's a nice little kid. But where does he get the permission? Perhaps he gets the permission to do this from Menachos Daf Mem Aleph. Because in Menachos Mem Aleph we learn that Be'idna Deritcha, the time where there is a Kodesh Baruch Hu's wrath in the world, they even punish upstairs for nullifying a mitzvah's eseh. Normally for nullifying a positive commandment, you don't get punished. You just didn't do a mitzvah. But in a time of wrath of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, and you don't have a greater wrath of a Kodesh Baruch Hu than the time of the Holocaust, and therefore perhaps For the sake of the mitzvah of kibudem at that time, he was able to do it, and maybe that is the source. I still have a problem with the mother.
Well, why not just say, well, Gzer Shmad, and if mother says do it, do it. You know, like, it's supposed to, okay, so if it's a regular time, so he can do anything, so Gilei Shir the Damin, whatever.
Right.
Here, it's Gzer Shmad, so you have to listen to his mother for anything, even if it's giving up his own life, potentially.
That's when the goy is telling you to do something, when there's a Gzeira Shmad. So even Chazal say, for switching the shoelace,
right,
you have to be willing to be more selfish, but not when your mother tells you to do something.
Mother's telling you it's a public. I mean, I'm
And
just
tell me,
it as a possibility.
and what's going to happen if he doesn't listen to his mother? What's going to happen?
Well, he's going to die.
His father, no, if he doesn't listen to his mother.
If he listen to his mother, in this case, he would die also.
Sure, he doesn't know
right.
that.
Well,
But what's going to happen? His father won't put on tefillin. It's a bitul mitzvahs essay. Does that compare to pikuach nefesh? L'choyer not. But the problem that I still have, and again, we can't judge. We cannot judge anything that happened then. But did his mother have reshus? Did she have permission to tell her kid, go and deliver the tefillin to your father? I don't think so. If you want to risk your life, and we see that you are able to, risk your own life. But it doesn't seem that she had reshus to send her kid to risk his life. But again, we probably are missing some information in this story. Based on the information that we have, l'choira, seemingly it doesn't seem that it's the right thing for the mother to do, even though once you are instructed to do this, you have permission to do this. But if you want to risk somebody's life, risk your own. Rabbi said we're moving to our second case, also stemming from Parashat Shavua and from last week's Parashat Shavua. Both in Vaischanan and Ekev we find the command to affix the mezuzah on our doorpost. Listen what happened up north in Eretz Yisrael. You know, we're living in a bad neighborhood, and our neighbors are not crazy about us. And sometimes they send us all kinds of aerial souvenirs. So there's a family up north in Eretz Yisrael, close to the border, where the wife was extremely nervous because of what's going on. And she became a balas tshuva. Very, very intense. She's really into it. And the further she goes, the further away her husband drifts, and he's so anti everything that even smells religious. The wife noticed that they don't have a mezuzah in the house. And she says to her husband, we have to put a mezuzah. And he says to her, mezuzah? That's a money-making machine for the rabbis. They take some little paper, I don't know what it is, parchment paper, some special ink, and they charge you an arm and a leg. It doesn't do anything. And she says, what are you talking about? It says Shin, Dalid, and Yud, and that is an acronym for Shoimer, Dalsos Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu protects over the houses of Klal Yisrael that have mezuzahs. It's the best form of protection. And he says to her, it does nothing, it's a waste of money. So now listen to a question from a Yiddish lady. She comes and she asks, I know that it's my husband only has a problem with the money. And if somehow I get the mezuzos, he'll be willing to put them on. So am I allowed to steal money from him and to tell him that, you know, Chabad or a different Kiyuv organization send us the mezuzos and we have them for free. Would you mind putting them on? And I know that he will put them on. But am I allowed to steal from my husband to fulfill the mitzvah of putting a mezuzah on the doorpost? What do you say, Rabbi Say? You like it? Psh.
I would say no.
You don't like it. How come you don't like it?
I don't like it. Who love a guzzle, other things of the sort. We have precedent for not misappropriating things for the sake of it.
You want to call it mitzvah abba be'avera.
I don't even want to go. I would say it's a mamash avera to steal from our husband.
If it's not much avera, so why not?
No,
We don't like
steal from our
averos.
husband.
What's that?
Don't steal from our husband.
Why? Because you're saying the mezuzah will be a mitzvah that comes by way of an avera.
Yeah, I think it's a problem. Yeah.
She stole money and she's buying mezuzah.
Shinui reshus? Is it shinui reshus?
Well, the mezuzah wasn't stolen anymore.
So not exactly shinui reshus. It's a shinui in the chayfetz that she stole. Mm-hmm. The lady's telling us something else. You know, my husband signed a ksuba. A husband commits to his wife to do 10 things in the ksuba. You should know this, ladies. If the woman becomes sick, he must pay the doctor. If she's taken into captivity, he must release her. One of the things that he is obligated to do is to provide for her a dwelling place. It's called a mador, a house, says this wife. A Jewish house is one that has a mezuzah. So as long as he didn't put mezuzah there, I'm helping him to do whatever he committed to. He still didn't fulfill his obligation towards me. It's not just the mezuzah as far as the mitzvah that you have to put on your house. He's supposed to provide for me a Jewish dwelling home. That is a place with a mezuzah. I'm helping him. You still don't like it?
So if she got sick, she can steal money to get her health better?
Why not if he committed to?
I'm saying it's the same thing, but I'm saying in all those cases, it's contractual, fine, but if she's stealing it from him, meaning not.
She's saying, how can I live in a place without a mezuzah?
But she's saying, I'm stealing it from him. So she's implying that she has no claim to that money. That's why.
That's the way she formulates the question. Maybe you're going to formulate it a different way, and she will have a claim to the money.
Well, maybe that's the case, but you said stealing.
Why are we calling it stealing his money?
I don't know. Let's formulate it differently. How do you want to call it?
Taking out money without
Their money.
I mean, usually
There's just one problem with this.
But does she?
Technical problem. I'm sorry to say this. However, the halacha dictates, Kol ma shekansa isha kana baila. Whatever a woman acquires belongs to her husband. So it is taking from him, and therefore we're calling it stealing.
So is it always stealing if I spend money without my husband's permission?
Because your husband does give you permission. Give you an example.
I don't know.
Give you an example. This is an
I
example.
spent a lot of time and effort to hide this. No, like, you know.
This is not recorded and will not be used against you. This is very important for women to know, and for men as well. You go home now. Somebody knocks on the door. Tzedakah. And the guy gives you such a spiel, and he shows you documentations and pictures, and you're so impressed, and you give him $5,000. You're allowed to give him $5,000. The halacha clearly says you are not allowed to, unless your last name is Rothschild. This is a subjective halacha. If you give $1, $5, $10, whatever it is that it's normal, and you know that your husband is not makpid, you're allowed to give. But anything else greater than that, and you know your husband potentially will be makpid, you are not allowed to give. Why? Because it's not your money. It's his. And again, this is subjective. If you're in Beverly Hills, or if you're living somewhere, I don't know where, in Highland. No, Highland Park is nice. This goes according to the family, according to the locality. But if you know, and that's why I said $5,000, because for most people, unless your name is Gil Bates, that's his Jewish name, Gil Bates, that's Bill Gates. I just converted him. So for him, 5,000 mistama is not so much. However, for other people, that would be stealing. She's stealing his money. That's what she wants to know. Can she steal his money? And therefore, she says, how can I live here? The mezuzah is not the obligation of the house, it's the obligation of the person who lives there. How can I continue to live here without a mezuzah? It's the obligation of the person who dwells in the house to put there. That's exactly her point. And she's going to help not only herself, but also her husband.
So she could put up a mezuzah on her.
I don't know, that's what I'm asking you.
No. I'm asking a different question. I'm saying you said it's on the house. It's on anybody dwelling in the house.
What it means is that it's an obligation on the person on the house is that if you have a house and you don't live there, you don't have to place a mezuzah there. That's what it means.
But if you live there.
If you live there, as long as you live there, you have to put a mezuzah.
Fine.
What do you say, Rabbi Yisrael? You want her to steal or not? You allow her or not? We have to come out with a psak. She's waiting for an answer.
So does she even technically own any of this house? I mean, she's not obligated.
I was doing my question
No.
too.
Sorry.
Ownership on the house.
What's that?
No, I was going to ask the same question. Does she even have ownership?
No. But you promise to provide me a house. A Jewish house is one that has a mezuzah. It's one of her claims. And also, I want to fulfill this mitzvah. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, put the mezuzah. You're supposed to do it, and I'm supposed to do it. What do you say? Rabbi Yisrael, there's a few things that are going against her. First of all, it's a chiddush. Many people think that you're not allowed to live in a place that doesn't have a mezuzah. That is wrong. You have a positive commandment to put a mezuzah, but the Mordechai, one of the Rishonim, clearly writes There is no pasuk in the Torah that says, "Thou shall not live in a place without a mezuzah." You have to put a mezuzah in order to live when you live there. But if you don't, you're still allowed to be there. You just are nullifying a positive commandment. That's first of all. So she's not doing an isu by living there, but much more than that. Since, as we said, the house belongs to him and not to her. So what is she called? Oines. She is forced to be in a place without a mezuzah. And we have a rule. Oines, Rachmana Patri. Kodesh Baruch Hu is not going to come to anyone with a claim if the person was forced not to fulfill the mitzvah. More than that. Imagine we came out with a psak. Yes, go ahead and steal. And tomorrow he will find out. Can you imagine the Chilul Hashem? Oh, that's what a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Your nice religion. Your Kodesh Baruch Hu tells you to steal in order to fulfill his mitzvahs. I don't think I'm crazy about this religion. It would be such a Chilul Hashem. And therefore, 3 reasons we have against it. First of all, there is no isu to live in a place without a mezuzah. Second of all, it's not her isu. It's his wrongdoing because it's his house, not hers. She is be'oines. And third of all, the potential Chilul Hashem, which is going to be catastrophic. And therefore, we will advise her not to steal his money. And let's all daven that Emetz Hashem, he does tshuva as well. And therefore, he will go and spend his own money and buy the most mehuda mitzvahs that there is out there.
What's the look if the landlord doesn't let
Ma'asim shebechol yom. Unfortunately, this happens many times. A goyish landlord doesn't want you to put a mezuzah. You have a problem. I think that legally in the States he can't usher it. Could be that there are some countries that he can. He thinks that he can, but I think he's not allowed to. And therefore you can put it on. And if you can't, get out of the house. For the first 30 days in Chutz La'aretz you can live without a mezuzah, but more than 30 days you can't live there. If they're talking in a place like Sakana,
if you're not doing a essay, you're mechiv to go out.
so the Rema says that to fulfill a positive mitzvah, one has to spend up to 20% of his money. Ad choimish. So if moving out will cost you more than 20%, you can stay. But the Mitzvah says that not. You'll have to spend maybe a little more money for a nicer apartment if there's nothing else available. But you have to get out of there after 30 days and put a mezuzah if you still weren't able to convince him within 30 days. Boy say we move to the next question. There is a shul that expanded. Did some renovations. And there was a person that was sitting in the aisle. He had the last seat in the bench. He was number 1. But because they expanded and made the place wider, so they added another chair right next to him. So now he was pushed over from number 1 to be number 2. The person sued the gabayim. Is it true, Baisa? And he said, excuse me, I have the aisle seat. I like the leg room. I like the... And now I'm pushed over from number 1 to number 2. It's not so chashuv to be number 2 like number 1. And they said, we didn't move you. You're in your makom kavua. The shul expanded. We added another chair right next to you, but you didn't move. You're in the same place you were in the last 50 years. And he says, no. I want my makom kavua. My makom kavua was at the edge of the bench. I'm not there anymore. He sued him. The Gabayim claimed we didn't move you. And he claims, yes, you did. Abai said, what do you think the halacha should be? Is he right? Does he have a claim? Or the Gabayim are right? I'm sure in a shul like this will not happen. Who sues a Gabayim for something like this? But we have to provide answers even for strange cases like this. Is it true, Maisa?
If makom kavua is partially established because of the kavanah, clearly his kavanah is now.
What do you mean makom kavua is established because of kavanah?
Meaning, I'm not saying it right, but part of the explanation we give for makom kavua is it's a place that the person has they're able to be most focused.
To concentrate more.
So if if he feels that he's moved from his place, so we've done him a disservice. Even if they're right in the sense of literally it's still his place, but it's lost its hashkafic status, if you will.
Good point. You know, in Maseches Brachos Daf Vav and again in Daf Zayin, Chazal praise a person who establishes a makom kavua, and Chazal call him one of the Talmidim of Avraham Avinu, and his enemies will fall in front of him. It's a tremendous praise. However, you come to a shul and somebody grabbed your seat. The last thing you should say is to the person, excuse me, This is my seat. The guy will never come again. But the halacha clearly says that if you sit within Daled Amos of your Makom Kavua, it's still called your Makom Kavua. So maybe things, the scenery is a little different from the next, but it's still called Makom Kavua. But he claimed that they moved him. Does he have a valid claim or not? What do you say? This Shaila came to the Levushay Srad. The Levushay Srad is about 350 years ago. And listen to Araya, the proof that he provides, mamish unbelievable. In order to listen to this, you must put on your seatbelt. This will blow you away. Are you ready? Listen to this. Yerushalmi. In Masechet Sanhedrin Perek Beis Halacha Vav, the Yerushalmi says an amazing thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to the letter Yud of Sarai and said, Sarai, no more Yud. The Yud is retiring. And from now on, you will be called Sarah. Sarah Imenu. And the Medrash says the Yud got very upset. And the Yud went to Kodesh Baruch Hu and said, excuse me? What's going to be with me? And the Kodesh Baruch Hu says, don't worry. Until now, you were the last letter in the name of a tzadekis. Sin, Reish, and then Yud. But now, an upgrade. You are going to be moved now to be the first letter in the name of a tzaddik. He used to be called Hosea, and now he will be called Yehoshua. The Medrash stops. Asks the Levush Yisrael, wait a second, how come did it stop? How come the hey of the word Hosea didn't come and say to Kodesh Baruch Hu, excuse me, I was number one, how come I was pushed now to number two? That's not fair. You see from the fact that the hey did not say this, that it's not a valid claim. What's amazing about this? You bring me a proof from an agada of a yud and a hey arguing in the realm of unbelievable raya. What's amazing to me is that the Levush Yisrael doesn't discuss that this appears in Shulchan Aruch, in Choshen Mishpat, in Simen Kuf Ayin Aleph. The Rema clearly says that the guy has a valid claim. Comes the Piskei Tshuva over there in Sif Aleph and explains. He brings a stira, a contradiction in Piskei Arosh, and he says, when does he have a valid claim? If it's a shul that they buy and sell seats, and now the value has depreciated, the aisle seat was $150 and now it's only $100, then he has a valid claim. But if it didn't depreciate, or if they don't sell and buy, you pay a membership, but that entitles you to any seat. It's not like in the, in the planes today, there's more legroom, so you pay a little more, premium. All the seats are the same. So if it's the shul that they don't buy and sell, and it didn't devalue, therefore he doesn't have a valid claim, and that would be the answer to our question. Listen to a Maisa. There was a guy here in the States that his son was drafted and he's going to war. We're not going to say in what country. And the father was so nervous. And he made a neder. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if my son comes back b'shalom, I will give $25,000 to tzedakah. 2 years. His son came back from the war. Baruch Hashem, his body intact. Everything is there. But his neshama? He came back hugging Achmar al-Itzlan, a Goya, and he's about to marry a shiksa. Asks the father, tell me, when I said if my son comes b'shalom, if my son comes back in peace, did I mean peace only of the body or peace of the neshama as well? It's a destruction of the neshama. This is peace. Shatters to pieces. If you'll tell me that this is what it meant, so I'll pay my $25,000 gladly, but is shalom to be destroyed spiritually? Is that called shalom? It's a war against the Kodesh Baruch Hu. What do you say, Rabbi Yisrael? Does he have to pay his neder or not? It's not midnight, Rabbi Yisrael. Wake up! What do you say? He has to pay the neder or not?
Do we know that it's the war that caused this?
We don't care. He said, if my son comes back from the army.
The same way that he left.
He said b'shalom. What does the word b'shalom mean? Does it mean only all your organs, all your limbs are all functioning, they're all here? I think many parents, many Jewish parents, would rather that the kid lose an arm and not marry a Goya. But who says that's the word b'shalom means? I need a proof. I need some kind of a source. Rabbi say, what do you say? Let's go to Parshas Vayishlach. Yaakov Avinu says, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be with me, Veshavti, and I will return, what's the next word? Beshalom. I will return in peace. Then, he makes an neder. What does Rashi say over there? Beshalom mean hachet. Free, sinless, free peace from sinning. That I will not learn from the ways of the wicked Lavan. You see, the word beshalom means not just the body's 100%, spiritual shalom. And since this guy came without spiritual shalom, we should tell him that he doesn't have to pay. But this leads me to tell you a moiradik maisa that can literally change your life forever. And I said it so many times since I heard it last month, and every time I say it, I get so moved. You know, half a year ago we lost Baron Leib Shteiman, Zecher Tzaddik Livrocho, Maran, the Rosh Yeshiva, Mani Gadol, the leader of the generation. Listen to a true maisa. There was a guy who lived right next to Reb Shteiman in Bnei Brak, and his son went off the derech. Big time. Was about to marry a shiksa. His father calls him a week before the wedding, and he says, listen, what you are about to do, in essence, is depart from the Jewish nation. Because when a person marries out, he departs from the Jewish nation. Before you do that, why don't you come spend the last Shabbos with us? Be with your family. And he says to him, Dad, I know exactly what you're trying to do. The whole Shabbos you're going to nag me about this. I don't want to hear it. And the father says, I'm not going to say a word. Just want to spend with you the last Shabbos. Come be with us. He convinced him and he agreed. He comes for Shabbos. He doesn't go to shul. Friday night, they all eat together. After the meal, he goes to the porch, middle of Bnei Brak, and he smokes and he plays on his phone. Shabbos morning, no shul. He eats with him. After the meal, he goes out to the porch, he smokes and he plays on his phone. Shabbos afternoon, the father says, you know, I have a kvius. I always go to a shir. Reb Shteiman Zatzal. Do you want to come with me? He says, okay. Big pele. It's a wonder. But he came. They went to hear a shir from Reb Shteiman. At the end of the shir, the father takes his son and goes to Reb Shteiman and says to him, you know, this is my son. This is my oldest son. Give him a bracha. He doesn't keep Shabbos. He says, you don't keep Shabbos? No. How long has it been that you don't keep Shabbos? About 2 years now. So Shteiman asks him, tell me, in these 2 years, did you have hirhurei tshuva? Did you have thoughts of changing and keeping Shabbos? The guy says, yeah. How many times? I don't know, probably 4 times. 2 Rosh Hashanahs and 2 Yom Kippurs. How long did each of these thoughts last? I didn't time it. I don't know, about 10 minutes. Reb Shteiman looked at him and he told him, wow! That means in the last 2 years, you had 40 minutes on which you were on the level, Chazal say in Brochos Daf Lamed Daled, b'makom sheba'al tshuva oimdim, in a place where Ba'al tshuva stand, even tzaddikim gemurim can't stand. You should know I envy those 40 minutes of yours. And that's all he said to him. You imagine how his head started spinning. Motzei Shabbos, he didn't know what to do with himself. He left the Goya. Slowly but surely, became a Baal Tshuva. Ad kan hakofe aleph. Listen to this. A few months later, his father asks him, you know, I'm so happy you're back. But let me ask you, I gotta ask you. What in the world propelled you to come with me to hear the shir? The whole Shabbos you had no interest in anything. You were on the porch, you were smoking, you were playing on the phone. What in the world caused you to come with me to the shir? And he says to his father, you know, when we were young, I remember from the Cheder, they took us to be tested by Reb Shteiman. And the Rebbe told us ahead of time, it's going to be very easy, don't worry. And in fact, the questions he asked were very easy. Everybody knew the answers. I didn't. So Reb Shteiman said, can I ask you another question? And I said, yeah. And he asked me an even easier question than the first. And I still didn't know the answer. And Reb Shteiman said, can I ask you another question? And I said, yes. And he asked me a question easier than the first two. And I didn't know the answer again. And then we finished, we were about to leave his house. So we all came close to him, and he pinched our cheeks. He gave a shkoyach, and he gave each kid a candy. When he came to me, he stopped, and he told me, you should know. We are not rewarded in Yiddishkeit for results. We are rewarded for toiling and for the effort that we put in. All your friends were asked one question, and they had to think once, and they answered me one thought of Torah. But you? I asked you 3 questions. You had to think 3 times, and therefore all your friends get 1 candy. You get 3. Do you imagine how the sweet taste that this left in this kid's, what an impression it made? So he said to him, what do you mean? When you told me you're going to hear a shir from him, I had to go. I wanted to see this rabbi. He made such an unbelievable impression on me. You know, we don't like to give candies to our kids, but you see that 1 candy, 1 extra candy can change a person's life forever. The sensitivity, the creativity, to think. Mamish moiridik. We have to apply it to our lives. It doesn't have to be with candy, it could be with something else. Next week's Parsha. Parsha Sereh. We learn about the mitzvah of tzedakah. Listen to a shayla. There was a 20-year-old girl in Eretz Yisrael who was about to get married, and they found she lost function of both kidneys. She needs a kidney transplant. And meanwhile, she goes to dialysis 4 times a week, 4 hours in the hospital, just before the wedding. And they found a donor in the States. This is going to be an expensive deal. $150,000. They don't have that money, but they have good connections. They have connections with Elal, the family, and they had connections that they pulled. They even reached the Congress here in the States. And Mount Sinai Hospital in the city in Manhattan agreed to do the surgery for free. Elal agreed to give them 3 tickets for free for the kid and for her parents. Now, instead of costing $150,000, it went down to $75,000. They still don't have, it's a lot of money. They went to this rich guy, and they explained the whole maaseh, and he said, how much is it going to cost? I want to give a half. What did they tell him? $150,000. How much did the rich guy give? $75,000. They left very happy. But then they started thinking, wait a second. He didn't want to give the entire sum. He said clearly, I want to give half. How much does it really cost? 75. And if they would have said 75, he would only give 38 and a half. So now they come and they ask us here in Highland Park, New Jersey, a question. Do they have to call back the rich guy and tell him, listen, the truth is only 75,000. Many rich people do this. They don't want to be the only one involved. They want other people to participate. They're entitled to it. It's their money. We can't tell him what to do. Obviously, if he would ask, we would advise him to give the entire sum if he has it. But he's entitled to do whatever he wants with his money. Can he claim, Mekach Taos? If I would have known, I would only give you 38 and a half. Does the family have to call and tell him the whole maaseh or not? Rabbi say, what do you say? It's a pikuach nefesh, but work harder and find a few other people and you'll get the other 38 and a half. I don't care about Midas Chasidus. I care about the halacha. You want to be a chassid, that comes after you know what the halacha is. But first we have to establish, do they have an obligation to call back? I'm not sure there's a Midas Chasidus when there's a pikuach nefesh shayla. Midas Chasidus is when you want to be a nice guy. Not on cheshbon if somebody's about to die. She needs this kidney. So we need to know what the halacha is. What do you say, Rabbi say? Would you call them back and say, you know, the truth is, it wasn't really 150, it's only 75 that we needed. Should we give you back $38,500? Or do we don't have to call?
What was his question again?
How much is it going to cost? Because I want to give half.
So he asked, how much is this going to cost?
And it's only going to cost 75 because you got already.
No, it's going to cost $150,000. Did he ask that question? How much is this going to cost?
How much is it going to cost? How much do you guys need?
Those are 2 different questions.
Yes.
Those are 2
The
different questions.
questions. He said, how much is this going to cost?
It's going to cost only 75 and that's what they need.
No. It's going to cost $150,000.
The whole
Why?
thing still costs 150. He's right. It still costs 150. Somebody's paying for it. So Alal gave a percentage, and the hospital gave a
How much is
percentage.
it going to cost?
But the whole cost is still 150. That hasn't changed. The cost is
You
still.
have a raya for what you're saying? We need
got-
proof and
I
based
don't have a proof. Do you have a proof? Because the logic makes sense.
Listen to a proof. We're going to go to Yerushalmi in Maseches Brochos, Perek Zayin Halacha Beis, and this appears also in Maseches Nazir in Yerushalmi, in Perek Hey Halacha Gimel, I believe. Listen to a mamish amazing Maisa. Shimon ben Shatach, Tana. 300 Nazirim came to Yerushalayim. When a Nazir finishes his term, he has to bring 3 korbanos. That's an expensive deal. How much is a korban? How much is a korban today? How much does it cost in the States here? What's that? $800? $1,000? It's an expensive deal. 300 Nazirim came to Yerushalayim. They have to bring altogether 900 korbanos. And they don't have the money for it. They came to Shimon ben Shatach. And Shimon ben Shatach was able to uproot their Nazirus. It's a neder. He was able to find a Pesach to uproot, to annul their Nazirus for 150 of them. So you still have 150 people requiring 450 korbanos. Shimon ben Shatach went to his brother-in-law. Who's his brother-in-law? King Yanai. The king has a lot of money. And he says to him, dear brother-in-law, your majesty, we have a problem here. We have 300 Nazirim. They need 900 korbanos. It's a lot of money. Why don't we split it? Half on me and half on you. And King Yanai agreed. But then King Yanai found out what Shimon ben Shatach did, and he was fuming. Shimon ben Shatach was very scared, and he fled. He ran away to Persia. The Gemara continues to say, one of the Chachamim of Persia, one of the Goyish dignitaries, came to Eretz Yisrael, and he was talking to King Yanai, and he said to him, we have this guy. He's so smart. He solves all our problems in Persia. The guy's unbelievable. Who is this? Oh, he's a guy who came from Eretz Yisrael. Who is he? His name is Shimon ben Shatach. Shimon ben Shatach is by you? That's terrible. He's using all the wisdom to help you guys. He should be here. So he told Shimon ben Shatach, listen, if you come back, I'm not going to touch you. Just come back to Eretz Yisrael. And he did. He came back. And he did this whole big festive meal. And he sat him right next to him. And the King Yanai told him, listen, I'm not going to touch you. But tell me, why did you fool me? That wasn't very nice. And Shimon ben Shatach says, what do you mean? I have a pasuk. The pasuk in Koheles says, Ki betzel ha-chochma, betzel ha-kesef. HaKadosh Baruch Hu equates in this pasuk the chochma, the wisdom, to money. You see, that's the same thing. They share the same. They create the same shade. You see, chochma goes along with kesef. We can use this for our case. The shtadlanus, going to El Al and going and pulling all the connections and talking to Congress and getting Mount Sinai to, that's chochma. That is chochma. And you can use chochma just like you can use kesef. Maybe not. Maybe the chochma is to annul Nazirus with a chochma satoira. But maybe not. It's a pikuach nefesh shayla. They were able to create this awakening by these people who are in control of different sums of money. So maybe we can use that and tell the family, no, you don't have to call and you don't have to give back any of the money. It's summertime. People fly. We talked about tzedakah. Another case about tzedakah and about flying. Listen to this true Maisa. Our Rosh Yeshiva from Eretz Yisrael came to the States to raise money. This Rosh Yeshiva is a very chashuv Rosh Yeshiva. And he gives a lot of shiurim. And flying coach, it's very difficult to prepare your shiurim. He doesn't like to sleep in the flight. 12-hour flight, he wants to sit and learn and write and create chidushim. So he always flies first class. He's not interested in luxury. He doesn't care about that, but he wants the space. In first class, you can open up 3-4 svarim and you can write and nobody bothers you. It's great. So as always, he bought a ticket first class and he came to Ben Gurion Airport. And the airline says, we're so sorry. Some kind of a mix-up. We're bumping you off to coach. But we're going to give you a free ticket. Is that okay? He says, okay. And he flew coach. He gets to the state. And he had this meeting with a very rich guy. And this is his first time that he meets him. He comes in. And he shows him pictures of the yeshiva and the talmidim. And the rich guy was so impressed. And then the rich guy, after half an hour, says to him, listen, I want to give you a lot of money. But I just have one question. Tell me, how did you get here? Wait a minute, get here. I flew here from Eretz Yisrael. No, I know that. How did you fly here? Coach or first class? Just coach. Fine. The rich guy gets up, gets his checkbook, and he writes him $10,000. Pretty nice. First time he meets him. When Shiva leaves, he goes to the secretary and says, what was that all about? You know, many people ask me all kinds of strange questions. Nobody ever asked me, you fly coach? Did you fly? What's up with that? And the secretary says, what do you don't know? You didn't hear about him? He is very, very makpid. He's very strict that if somebody comes here first class, he doesn't give him $1. Because he feels this is my hard-earned money that I want to spend until you're learning. Not on Rashi Yeshiva's flying luxurious first class. And if you would have said that you came here first class, he wouldn't give you $1. Oh, okay, thank you very much. He left, and then he starts thinking, Oy, do I have to call back and say, listen, yes, it's true, I came coach, but I actually bought a first class ticket, and I always go first class. Or maybe, let me say he didn't lie. How did I come here? Coach, he didn't lie. So does he have to call, or he can use the special crazy siyata dishmaya that he had? What do you say, Abu Yisai? You like it? You're not sure. Yes? No?
The rich guy found out that he normally flies first class.
What would he call it? Mekachtos! I wouldn't want to give you $1. So he wanted to call him back. I said, listen, the truth is, did he lie? He didn't lie. He answered the question.
You could have asked him, well, how do you normally fly? He didn't. He only asked me, how do you fly here?
True. So therefore he doesn't have to call him. Ad שיבוא השלישי ויכריע ביניהם. You say this and you say the opposite. Rabbi say, what do you say?
Well, he always flies first class,
Yeah,
but this time he flew coach.
right,
Ow. The airline made the mistake.
right.
Did the airline make the mistake?
Kodesh Baruch Hu arranged things.
Okay, so he usually flies first class. This time he flew coach. He never saw this guy before. He's never been asked a strange question before.
And next time he knows that if he meets him, he's going to fly coach.
Well, yes,
Or just not answer the question.
So you want him to call back or not?
No.
No. Use the siyata dishmaya. Enjoy it.
Kashka Prati?
You have a proof? We need documentations. We need Shulchan Aruch, Shas, Poiskim, something to allow this to continue because the guy can claim Mekachtos. Rabbi say, listen to a Gemore, will blow you away. Maseches Nida, Daf Chaf Amud Beis. The Gemore tells a Maaseh about Ifra Hurmiz. She was a queen. She was the mother of King Shvul, king of Persia. And she wanted to test Chachmei Yisrael. She sent Rava a sample of blood. And she told him, what is this blood? Can you identify it? And Rava said, yes. And he wrote her back what it is. And she was extremely impressed. But her son told her, big deal. Everybody can have a lucky day. You want to really test him? Send him a lot of samples. And she did. She sent him 60 different samples of blood. Rava gets this in Beis HaMedrash and he starts writing. This is this belongs to this. 59 he got out of 60. He got stuck on the 60th. Rav Ovadia was sitting in the Beis HaMedrash. And Rava got stuck. He didn't know what to do. He decided, you know what? I got 59 out of 60. It's pretty good, but it's not perfect. I'm going to send a gift to the queen. Rav Ovadia used to sell all kinds of little things for ladies. And he happened to have with him a lice comb. So he gave it to Rava, and Rava sent back 59 samples of blood and a little lice comb. Probably made out of gold. Send it to a queen. The queen receives it, and she starts going over the samples. Got it right. On the money. Perfect. Correct. And she's impressed. And then she gets to the 60th. And she sees there's no answer. Instead, there's a lice comb. And the queen was so impressed. And she says, wow, the wisdom and beauty, the elegance, the nobility of Chachmei Yisrael. You're sitting at the entrance to my heart. That's what she says. Ah, I see, Rava, what he did. The truth is, the sample was of lice. But Rava felt that it's not very nice and dignified to send a queen the word, this is lice blood. And therefore he sent me a comb to allude that it belonged with such beauty. Tell me, did Rava call her back and say, so sorry, queen. Actually, no, I had no idea. I just happened to have this guy who had a lice comb. I didn't mean it. Did Rava say this? No. You see that you can use special siyata dishmaya. Listen to this, Maaseh. Daf Yomi learners will remember this from Maseches Horios, Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel was the Nasi, was the prince of Klal Yisrael, but Rabbi Nosson and Reb Meir felt that he was a little strict in certain things and they wanted to remove him from his position. How do you do this? They had a plan. Tomorrow when he comes, we'll ask him questions all about Maseches Uktzin. Who learns Masechet Uktzin? They learn Baba Metzia. They learn Kiddushin and Gittin. However, Rabbi Yaakov ben Karshi was sitting in the Bes Medrash when they had this plan. What did he do? He felt that it's terrible. Reb Shimon Gamliel is going to be so embarrassed. He went and he sat right next to Reb Shimon Gamliel's house. And the entire night, he was learning Maseches Uktzin out loud so Reb Shimon Gamliel will hear him. And Reb Shimon Gamliel is sitting in his living room and he's thinking, this is strange. Why is there a guy learning Maseches Uktzin the whole night loud? This is 2 o'clock in the morning. Something is up and I better listen. He came to the Bes Medrash the following morning. And Reb Nosson and Reb Meir said, Rebbe, can we ask you a question? Sure, go ahead. No, Maseches Uktzin something. Sure, go ahead. And they ask him a question, and he gives an entire shir klali on Maseches Uktzin. And he says to them, you should know, if I didn't know the answer to this, I would be so embarrassed, and it's terrible what you did. Did Reb Shimon say, by the way, until 10 hours ago, I had no idea Maseches Uktzin. But Reb Yaakov ben Karshi was learned. Did the Gemara say that he told him, listen, the truth is, no. You see that you can use special siyata d'ishmaya when HaKadosh Baruch Hu arranges all kinds of things, you can use them. On the subject, listen to this amazing siyata d'ishmaya from my Rebbe, Maran Saratoy, Reb Chaim Kanievsky, a true Maaseh. Reb Chaim gets so many letters every day that recently the post office in Eretz Yisrael announced that he is the private person who receives the most letters in Eretz Yisrael. He gets about 300 letters a day. About 2 years ago, Reb Chaim gets 2 letters on the same day. One guy is telling him, this and this is the matzav with my wife. Should I get divorced or not? And Reb Chaim writes to him back, yes, should get divorced. And the other guy was asking him, what is the source for what Chazal say, a certain statement of Chazal that I don't know the source for? And Reb Chaim writes to him, look back in the Mechilta, in Pasha this and this, letter this and this, you'll find it. However, the letters got mixed up. And he sent the wrong letter to the wrong person. Reb Chaim didn't know this. Fast forward 2 years. A guy comes into Reb Chaim Kanievsky. He says, Rebbe, I want to thank you. What's he do? Thank you me for what? He says, no, you probably don't remember, but 2 years ago, I sent you a shaila. Should I get divorced or not? And I explained the whole situation. And you told me to look in the Mechilta and this Pasha. And you should know, I looked and I had no idea. What's the connection? Reb Chaim's style is very, very short. Just very few words. Look in the Mechilta. And I'm looking there and I'm looking. What's the connection to what I asked you? So you should know I hired a team of 5 Talmidei Chachamim. And they were trying to be mefalpel to understand what you meant. And they came out that you're trying to tell me to stay in the marriage. And Rebbe, I listened to you. And look, Baruch Hashem, we have Shlom Bayis. Everything's okay. I came to thank you. The Pasuk says, Raglei Chasidav Yishma. HaKadosh Baruch Hu watches over those who fear Him, that even when they make a mistake, it's not a mistake. Special siyata d'ishmaya. I don't know, but you know what? So he got a letter saying yes to a question, what is the source? Mistama, he came back with another letter, I didn't understand your question, and he got then the right source. I think we should finish, but just another story and we'll finish with a thought, an observation. We just finished the 3 weeks and we try to concentrate. On Ahavas Chinam, on Gmilus Chesed, loving kindness and being nice to each other, but as soon as Motzei Tisha B'Av comes, that's it, we can go back to being our old selves, it's not the 3 weeks now. About a half a year ago, Rabbi Yisrael the Vizhnitzer Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael, there was a wedding of one of his Hasidim, and he came to the chuppah. And right after the chuppah, he came to the father, and he says to him, listen, when you come back home tonight, doesn't make a difference what time the wedding ends, and I know it's going to finish late, give me a call. He gave him his number. He says, Rebbe, it's going to be very late. He says, I know I want to talk to you. The Rebbe says something you have to do. The wedding ends at 3 o'clock in the morning. He arranges things here and there. He gets to his house 4:10 a.m. The Rebbe said, I have to call him. He felt terrible. But he called him at 4:10. The Rebbe told his Gabayim, as soon as this guy calls, you wake me up. They woke him up. The Rebbe quickly washes his hands. He gets ready, he picks up the phone. Hi, how you doing? What's going on? Tell me, how was the wedding? Did you like the band? He says, yeah, they were terrific. All your friends came, the ones you expected? He says, yeah. How was the food? And he goes on and on. And then at one point, after 5 minutes, the guy felt really comfortable. And he started sharing everything. And he talked to him for 18 minutes. A Rebbe speaking to one of his Hasidim about meaningless things of what happened in the wedding. 18 minutes. At 4:10 in the morning? He hangs up. The Gabayim say to the Rebbe, Yilamdeinu Rabbeinu, teach us, our master. Maikulei hai, what was this? You couldn't wait to do this at 7 o'clock in the morning, huh? And the Vizhnitzer Rebbe said to them, you should know, this man just married off his last kid. And last year, he lost his wife. What do you like to do at the end of a simcha? You come back home, especially if that last kid and now it's an empty nest and you want to share. Talk to your wife and she'll tell you all about what happened on her side, on the women's section, and you'll tell her, and you talk about the food, and you talk, the schnitzel wasn't so warm. And you talk about the band, and you talk about all the friends that came and didn't come, and you want to share. And he's going to come to empty four walls, and who is he going to speak to? So it was extremely important for me to speak to him now, because he needs to know that there's somebody out there that he can speak to. And this is such a beautiful maaseh, that we have to constantly be thinking about others, and we say, Derech Eretz, Kadma la Torah, Derech Eretz comes before Torah. What does that really mean? It's an unbelievable medrash. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, I want you to go to take my people out. Go to Paro. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, well, wait a second. The pasuk says, Elchana, I got to go first to my shver. I got to go to my father-in-law, Yisroi. I got to ask his permission. What? What does that mean? You have to ask permission. And let's say Yisro says no, so there's not going to be Torah. You are chosen to take my people out, and Torah will be given through you. What does that mean? You have to ask permission. HaKadosh Baruch Hu just told you something. Says the Medrash Shabbat and Shemois, Parasha Aleph Ois Lamed Beis. Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hashem, Yisro opened his door for me. He treated me like a son. If you open the door to your friend, esnafshoi hu chayav loi. You owe him your life. He felt such gratitude. And that comes before Torah? The Torah is called by the Navi, Zichru, Torah's Moshe. It's called the Torah of Moshe. More than that, Chazal say. If it wasn't for the Torah, the world wouldn't be created. So what does it mean? You have to go to Yisro. And if Yisro would say no, so you wouldn't go out and give Klal Yisrael the Torah? What does this mean? But much more than that. What is Moshe Rabbeinu saying? I owe Yisro. He did chesed with me. Wait a second. Rewind. The beginning, Parashas Shemois. We learn that Moshe Rabbeinu did an unbelievable chesed with Yisro first. The daughters of Yisro came back home. Yisro says, what happened today? Oh, don't ask. Don't ask. There was an Egyptian guy who came and he saved the day. The pasuk says double language. Ki dalo dala lanu. He drew water. But what do you say? He drew water. Why do you say it twice? Why do you repeat yourself? Says the Medrash. Not only did Moshe Rabbeinu drew water for their sheep, the shepherds threw the daughters of Yisro into the water, and Moshe Rabbeinu saved the daughters of Yisro. He drew them out, and then he drew water for their sheep. So wait a second. In this little game of chesed between Yisro and Moshe, who started? Moshe Rabbeinu did the chesed first. So what does it mean? I owe him. No, he owed you. So Moshe Rabbeinu, based on that, refuses to listen to Hashem and to go to receive Torah, to give Torah to Klal Yisrael. How does it work? You see from here that there are two tracks, two parallel lines that do not meet. The track of the one doing chesed and the track of the recipient of chesed. The track of the one doing chesed should be no different than doing any other mitzvah. Did you ever look at your tefillin in the morning after you put them on and you say, hey, you owe me one? Did you ever shake a lulav and say, hey, lulav, don't forget this, huh? Did you ever light Shabbos candles and look at the candles after and says, you owe me, big time? No. It's a mitzvah. Gemilut Chassid is also a mitzvah. It's just another mitzvah. But on the side of the recipient, when somebody does a chesed to you, you should feel like you owe him your life. You owe him forever. Moshe Rabbeinu started with the chesed. He did chesed to the daughters of Yisro. He saved them, but he didn't think he should get anything in return. He didn't expect anything. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to keep Shabbos, put on tefillin, and also do chesed. I'm not supposed to get anything in return. But Moshe Rabbeinu receiving chesed from Yisro, wow, I owe him my life. That's the deep meaning of Derech Eretz Kadma la Torah. So much so that if Yisro would say, no, you can't go, he wouldn't go because I owe him my life. We should be always zoichin, not only during the 3 weeks, throughout the year. We have a heter. I checked it out with the poiskim. We have a heter to be nice to each other year long. To try and do chesed all the time. To feel that if somebody does chesed to us, we owe him everything. But when we do chesed to others, we should look at it no different than any other mitzvah. It's another mitzvah in the Taryag, the 613 that we have. And bizchus the chesed, Yirtzeh Hashem, our next year will be in Eretz Yisrael, in Yerushalayim Abnuya, with Beis HaMikdash, Mashiach Tzidkeinu Bekorov B'Yameinu. Amen.
Amen.